Last week, I was in London at a conference against anti-Semitism, and we had a few hours in between, a few hours free, so I went with my colleague Stu Halpern, and we ran into the British Museum. And there's a wing of the British Museum of Ancient History, and there we saw they had a script that came from Nebuchadnezzar that described the time of Nebuchadnezzar and Nebuchadnezzar's conquests. And then right next to it, there are these two huge gates for a palace of Sargon, who was the father of Sancherib. And right across from there was a huge pillar with a big sculpture of Ramses II, who scholars understand is Paro. And they showed the picture of where this pillar stood in Egypt. And you knew that thousands of years ago, our forefathers stood in front of this very pillar, this very sculpture, and were quaking in fear. And there I stood at the British Museum, going to a wing, looking at Nebuchadnezzar, and looking at Sancherib, and looking at Paro, and seeing where they are, and seeing where we are today. Sitting here learning Hashem's Torah, sitting in the Beis Medrash, living a life of Torah and mitzvos, not just for ourselves, but for examples for the world. And I have to say, I was thinking to myself that I will, Bezrat Hashem, spend Seder night in Israel, in Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh. And I stood in front of Ramses II, and I said, B'ni B'chori Yisrael. We're here, and we're moving history forward. Chag Kasher v'Sameach.